Rice Fame Group supports the legacies of HBCUs. Hello, this is Lacey L. Rice Jr. of Rice Fame Group, welcoming you to chat with HBCU Champions, Season 4, featuring head coach Maurice from Hampton University, whose team won the 2025 CAA, or Coastal Athletic Conference Women's Indoor Track and Field Championship. So congratulations, Coach.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And we appreciate you stopping in and talk to us this morning, because we definitely want to know more about you and your program.
Yeah.
And with that said, tell us a bit about yourself, about your background and your coaching experience, because we definitely want to know who Coach Pierce is.
Coach Pierce is a complex guy, but I do my best. This is going on year number 27 here at Hampton. I didn't imagine that I would be here this long. That wasn't the plan, nor was that something that I defied. But I'm going on year 27. 27 years is a long time. I arrived at Hampton in 1999. I'm a local guy, so I'm from Newport News, Virginia. Went to high school here. My athletic background: I played football, I ran track. Then I went to Norfolk State, so I went to the school on the other side of the water. So everybody's still trying to figure out how I work at Hampton, but went to Norfolk State. So I'm a Spartan by heart, but I've been in Hampton so long, people think I went to Hampton. But I'm I'm a true Spartan. And so Norfolk State, I was there. I was on a student there from 91 to 96, ran track there. And then I got my start in coaching at Norfolk State. Probably like around my senior year. So like about 95, 96, when I didn't have any more eligibility. So, the best thing for me was to get into coaching. And it was kind of like by default, because that was nothing out that I saw as a plan. But I guess, the man upstairs had a different plan. And it worked out. So, I needed some help, and the women's track coach needed some help, because I was just trying to figure out basically how I was going to get the last semester of my schooling paid. She needed some help with a younger assistant, Coach Sweat. Her name was Laverne Sweat. She was getting a little older, and she just needed another body out there. So it was kind of like an exchange. We needed each other. So I did that from part of 95 and all of 96 and through 98. And then for that 1 year in 98, and we won some championships when I was on the staff at Norfolk State. I was on the outstanding men's track team, and then we won 2 championships in the CIAA as an assistant. But at the same time, I was also helping out with some of the professional athletes that we had on campus. So that's how I got my start with professional athletes. But I did the Norfolk State thing for 2 years, and then a friend of mine got a head job at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. So I went to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore for 1 year, because at that time, it was a real paycheck, so with some benefits. So I took a leap of faith, and I went up there, stayed for a year, had a great time there for a year. But unfortunately, the gentleman that I went there with, he decided to leave after 1 year. Kind of like left me and the other assistant coaches in kind of like limbo. And so, I applied for the position, but I didn't get the position. They gave it to somebody that was older, which is understandable. But at that point, I said, enough of this. I'm packing my bags. I'm going back to Newport News. I had enough of this foolishness. And so that's how I landed at Hampton in the summer of 1999. I came back home with the intent to try to get a job in the public school system because at that point I was kind of like disappointed how the Maryland Eastern Shore thing went. And so I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna go back where everybody that know me. I got some credibility and somebody gonna open up some doors for me. So I was gonna try to just get a job in the public school system. In particular, try to go back to my high school, Warwick High School, and try to like be the assistant football coach, assistant track coach, and what other job they had in the building, I was gonna take it. So that was the plan. But again, somebody else had a different plan for me. And at that point, I got introduced to the women's head coach at the time here, a lady named Mamie Rollins. And the same thing happened to me in Norfolk. I needed something and she needed me. So she was a little older and she needed a younger coach to help her figure this new thing out that she was doing. And I knew she was only going to do it for a couple of years. And so basically she convinced me to take the job. In all actuality, I thought about it overnight and I met with the men's track coach at the time. And he said, man, just give it a chance. And again, I was being stubborn. I said, man, I don't want no more parts of this college thing. So I did it. And since 99, I've been here ever since. So that's how it happened. That's how I got to the home by the sea.
Well, that's a great journey though. No matter whether or not you had to go to your rival or not, you gotta make a livelihood.
Well, I tell everybody all the time that the purpose of going to college is to get a degree and then get a job.
Right.
So I got a job. I just couldn't help it that it was the rival.
Right. Right.
The rivalry don't pay checks. I don't get caught up in all that. I needed some money.
Right. Well, it seems that it all worked out for you though, and that is a long time to be in one spot, especially these days.
Yeah.
Because you see coaches jumping all over the place. Even I have some coaches. Being a track and field guy myself, I'm retired from coaching, but I do have some collegiate coaches who are my mentors.
Yeah.
Who were my mentors. One of them might even be one of your mentors because he teaches, or at least I think he's retired from that now. He taught pretty much every track and field coach in the country at one point. And but even he had coached at several different institutions throughout his career, and so I'm thinking that's the norm. You stay at a place maybe 5-6 years, you move on somewhere else and whatnot. So you must be doing something right for them to keep you around that long.
Well, I think I'm doing something right, but you know what? I didn't want to be. And you're right. That was the plan. I said I'm gonna do this for a couple of years, and then bounce to something else, then bounce to something else. But I got blessed again in 2003 when they gave me the head coaching job. And so I was already 3 years in the game. Then when I said, okay, that's 3 years gone, so let me be the head coach for at least 3 or 4 years, and then see what happens after that. But after that, never came. So. And then to be honest with you, I didn't want to be, I got to the point where like I didn't want to be one of those coaches that just job hopped all over the place. And Hampton University was real good to me. Former administration and the current administration was extremely good to me. And it gave me what we needed to be successful. And we kept being successful. We won a lot of championships, and then we had a lot of big time athletes come through here. And at the same time, I was able to coach professional athletes, and it didn't interrupt what I was doing at the university. And the university allowed me to do it. And so basically, I had the best of both worlds. I had a winning program, and I was able to coach some of the best professional athletes and travel around the world. and with no interruption. So I guess I kind of like got caught up in the hype, and I was just moving fast, and so I really didn't have time to sit down and think about another job. Have there been other interests? Of course, yeah, a whole lot of other interests. But some of them just weren't like the right fit.
Right.
Like I would never, at that point, I didn't see myself leaving to take another mid-major job because Hampton is a mid-major program, even though I think my track program is big time, but it's a mid-major overall athletic program, and we were in a mid-major conference. So it had to have been like a big jump for me to leave. It had to be, a Power Five or Power Four, whatever they call it now, job. And I interviewed for a few of those jobs, but unfortunately, the athletic directors went another direction, and I guess they still trying to figure out that direction too because their program ain't that good. So I'm gonna mind my business.
Well, like you said, sometimes God has a different vision for us.
Yeah.
And he'll, he might let us step out there and dip our toes in the water.
Yeah.
But then, he might make that water a bit too hot for us to step in. And that's our cue. Yeah, you better off staying right where you're at.
Yeah, you basically just sit down. I got you. Just sit right there. Because there's a lot of horror stories out here. A lot of guys get jobs, and then in 2-3 years they gone. Then you're hopping around again and again. And I just didn't want to be a job hopper. Never good on the family. It wouldn't have been good with my daughters. So here I am.
And I've seen that. It was there was a major program that I was with for a year, and my our head coach, he ended up retiring. The assistant, one of the top assistant, ended up getting the head job. Gotcha. I mean, this guy had led several athletes to national championships. Oh, wow. And now he's at a mid-major.
See?
And I'm sitting there, I don't know what happened at the university that he had to leave. I'm like, this guy probably has more national champions than anyone else in program history.
Yeah.
But now he's at this other school at a much smaller school in the state as an assistant. So, it's a crazy world.
Hey, man, it's a crazy world. It's a political world. And a lot of stuff to me just don't make sense. And, track is track. It's not football. It's not basketball. But track is track, If you can be successful here, you can be successful. You just take your same formula, how you do things to a bigger stage, and as long as you got the resources and what you need, you could be successful. But you're right. A lot of guys jump around because they have no other choice to jump around, or they leave from being a head coach, and then all of a sudden they got to drop back down to being an assistant coach. And I just didn't want. I always bet on myself. Don't get me wrong, but I also had enough like common sense to say, just sit down. The right opportunity to come knocking at your door, you ain't got to go get it. So I guess this has always just been the right thing, because the bigger picture is that everybody, my family is settled. My daughters are okay. My mom still like me, so I'm good. So everybody's good.
So tell me, how did you get into coaching professional athletes?
Well, what happened was when I was at Norfolk State, and so right around like 95, 96, we had an abundance of big time. They were already world class athletes that came to Norfolk State. They transferred from a junior college 2 years in a row. They came from Odessa Junior College and they came from Blinn Junior College down in Texas. And these guys they were already like world class from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the guy. I was kind of like the guy in between. Like so, I was like the popular guy. And still trying to figure out how I could run again. Because at one time I messed up some eligibility, so I was just like in between.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys took a liking to me, and we just became real cool. And our head coach at the time, Steve Riddick was a former world class athlete, Olympic gold medalist.
Mm-hmm.
So Coach Riddick had already had some attraction of professional athletes starting to show up in Norfolk, wanting him to train them. So man, those guys became real good friends. And even though I had like an indoor season of eligibility left, but and I consider myself a good athlete, a good runner. But those guys was world class coming in the door. And so it was getting going to 96, and 96 was the Olympic year. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, instead of continuing to try to chase track, Coach Riddick told me one time, he said, look, man, if you start coaching, you'll get the same Olympic glory out of coaching somebody to the Olympic Games as if you were trying to get ready for the Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep trying to chase, you might blow a lot of opportunities. So with me being friends with those guys and then just hanging out with Coach Riddick and at the track with his world class athletes, that's how I got engaged with the world class, the professional track side of things. And a couple of them made the '96 Olympic team for some foreign teams, for
Mm-hmm.
like African teams and things like that. But then the next year, World Championship came. A couple of Norfolk State guys, Tim Montgomery, and they made the World Championship team. Then it just started. It just kept going from there, and we became cool. And I started getting attracted by professional athletes that wanted me to work with them. And I just carried that same recipe over here to Hampton when I came back over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a guy named James Carter who made the 2000 Olympic team. James made the Olympic team in the 400-meter hurdles. So that's how it started. Again, I guess I got blessed and it got started off default, and it just took off from there. And then I put somebody on 5 of the last Olympic teams,
Wow.
and they either got a medal or made the finals.
Okay.
Right. So I guess I always just been in the right place with the right people. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how it started. And we had a thing in Norfolk called the Norfolk International Training Center. And at one time in '96, they considered Norfolk Speed City.
Mm-hmm.
So I just was there sucking up all the information from all these world class athletes and an Olympic gold medalist coach. And then Coach Sweat, the women's coach who I worked with, she was already engaged on the international national USA staffs. So that's how I also got started on trying to get on USA staffs. So she was on staffs. Coach Riddick was a world class Olympic gold medalist himself, and we had
Mm-hmm.
like the best 100-meter sprinters in the world training.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure you know a lot of my buddies then, cause several. Well, I'm in Kentucky,
Okay.
and Center College hosts a track and field camp that's called the Maximum Velocity Track and Field Academy.
Okay.
It was founded by Sharifa Barksdale.
Oh yeah, I know Sharifa. Yeah.
Yeah, it was founded originally by her and Jackie Jordan Kersey.
Gotcha. Uh-huh.
And Sharifa is the figurehead, and
Gotcha.
she's the
Okay.
booker.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they have greatly improved the state of track and field in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of dedicated people who are, they live and breathe the sport.
Gotcha.
But if it wasn't for people like Sharifa, I don't think it would be at the level that it's at now.
Yeah.
And so, and then plus I'm a Kentucky State graduate, and she did coach there for a time. So
I didn't know she coached at Kentucky State.
Yeah.
Sharifa, my girl, but I didn't know that. The guy that men's track coach here one time, Coach Boyd, David Boyd, he was at Kentucky State.
Mm-hmm.
I think back in the early '90s.
Okay. Yeah.
Man Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
And two of his one of his athletes, a guy named Tiger, ran for him. Yes, I know some Kentucky State guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I think Coach Boyd was the head coach when I was a student.
yeah.
Yes.
So it had to be like in the early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
90, 91, 92, 90, something like that. Then he went to
Mm-hmm.
Maryland Eastern Shore for a couple of years.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I transferred to Kentucky State in '91.
yeah. He was there. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's all
And he
right though.
coached. And he coached quite a few All Americans.
Oh yeah, Spider knew what he was doing. Spider Man was the man.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that convinced me to talk to Coach Rollins here to take the assistant women's track job here at Hampton.
Okay.
I owe all of my success and gratitude to Spider Man Boyd.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had that conversation. I'd have
Okay.
probably denied the conversation, but he, but you know how he is. If you know him, and he said some harsh words. So I said, "All right, man, I'm gonna go talk to the lady."
Well, and there are a lot of ties out in that region between Kentucky State and some schools out there because, of course, Dr. Wilson is a
Hmm.
Kentucky State alum.
Oh yeah. Harrison B. Wilson. That was my
Right,
president at Norfolk State.
right, right.
Yeah.
And he was quick to tell me that the Norfolk State that you see today,
Yeah.
he did that.
Yeah. He was, hey, look here, that dude. He took Norfolk to another level,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had the basketball coach over there, Lucius Mitchell, who came from Kentucky State.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Bernard, I think, played for them at Kentucky State. He
Right.
became the coach, so it was like a Kentucky State thing over there. So I know I was there, right? I was there the whole time.
And Coach Mitchell and I were real tight before he passed, and
Yeah.
so like I said, there are a lot of ties there. And then I was mentioning to your SID the other day that one of your former admissions directors, he actually he came to Kentucky State from Hampton, was assistant, and then he became the admissions director, and then he ended up going back to Hampton and
Oh
became
wow.
the admissions director out there in Hampton.
Hmm.
And so, but he is a K-State alum too because he took some classes while he was at Kentucky State.
Okay.
So
It's on the transcript.
right. So I said there are a lot of ties, and I love Virginia. The time that I spent out there, I was in the military.
Hmm.
I took my advanced training at Fort Lee.
Okay.
And so actually hung out a lot at Virginia State. In
Yeah,
fact,
you was on. Yeah. You was on campus
oh yeah,
on the hill.
The first time I saw Fresh Prince, and I saw the Fresh Prince, and it wasn't called Fresh Prince at the time because DJ had the title,
Hmm.
and I saw them during, I think it had to be basketball homecoming or something like that. So that's how much I was, into Virginia State at the time. Didn't know. I mean, I kind of had an inkling that I was going to end up at an HBCU.
Right.
Like when I graduated from high school, that's all my dad showed me. He took me to Alabama A&M because he's from Alabama. He was an A&M alum. Took me to Stillman. We stopped by Miles, and after I took the ACTs and SATs, Morehouse and your rival, the other HU. I mean, I'm close with them, but I'm not gonna disrespect you by saying the name, but yeah, they contacted me, so I did go to a white community college, and as fate would have it, that community college was actually under the University of Kentucky.
Wow.
And the funny thing was, University of Kentucky wouldn't take all the credits from its own community college, but Kentucky State did. So it was like that was a no-brainer for me. And I had the time of my life in Kentucky State.
You had a great time.
Oh yeah. And that's what I tell people about our HBCUs. I've experienced both sides of it. And HBCUs to me they're more community based.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know primarily half of the people on campus. You know, and then you have this desire to always come back. Yeah. Especially if you had a great experience.
Oh yeah. No question. I know what I tell everybody all the time. I'm an HBCU guy. All right. That ain't all I know, but that's all I need to know. Like I said, I'm a Spartan, and I've been in Hampton forever. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for Norfolk State, I know I was gonna go to HBCU. Mm-hmm. Right? I wasn't going. You know, I was geared towards going to a junior college to run track. But my mother wasn't having all that. So I was going, and this is CIAA and HBCU territory around here, mm-hmm. right? So it was either going to be Virginia State, North Carolina Central, maybe Morgan, but it ended up being Norfolk State. So it was a no brainer, right? I was kind of like forced, yeah. I guess I'm the president of HBCUs now.
Oh man. Well, you know, we are talking about HBCUs, but Hampton is one of the few HBCUs that competes in a PWI conference.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your conference and about the competition that you have there in the CAA.
Well, you know, the CAA has grown a lot over the last 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. At first, historically, it was like a distance-based conference. You know, every school in the conference catered and put all their money and resources into distance running, mm-hmm. and in particular cross country. So you're talking about a conference that never had indoor track. So they never had indoor track up until 3 years ago when us and A&T joined the conference, and we all sat down and say, look, you know, you got to have indoor track. But before, all they had was cross country and outdoor track. So when you do that, that just says that you're just dealing with distance anyway, because a lot of distance runners didn't run indoor track anyway. So I felt as though we could be successful in the CAA. Because historically, when we were in the MEAC, we had extremely great teams, and I would always compare our teams with various other conferences. Mm-hmm. So, you know, not to disrespect the CAA or anything like that, but the teams I had in the past, we could have won in the CAA. But what happened was, like I said, when they decided to add indoor track, and then us and A&T came in, it elevated the conference. And the conference became extremely good, like overnight. Like I think those institutions and their administrators decided, look, we all in with track now, and so a lot of CAA schools didn't have men's track, so some have men's track now. A lot of them didn't have all the resources for the whole track program, so it just took track to a whole nother level, and it's a very, very, very competitive conference. I think we should have won it my first year in there. Mm-hmm. I think we lost by like 8 points. Yeah. Yes, that's a bad feeling. Somebody on my team didn't do their job. So we should have won the first year. Mm-hmm. Second year, we had some injuries, but we were still in the top 3. So the first year, we were top 2, indoor and outdoor. Mm-hmm. The second year, we kind of like had some injuries indoor, but then we came back outside, finished in the top 3. But I knew in year 3, with all the mistakes that we made, that we were set up to win because we recruited more depth, so we wouldn't have those problems. So it's extremely good conference. A&T, but Alan Johnson came. You know, Alan did a good job with all the speed. He had an older men's team, and they was flying around the track. He won the men's title. We won the women's title. I think both of us took two different approaches. His was speed and power, because that was the foundation of the program that Dwayne Ross had built. But mine was a little bit different because it's more parity on the women's side in the CAA. And remember now, on the men's side, every school in the CAA doesn't have men's track. So you can kind of like win the championship with speed and power. You can't just do that on the women's side. So on the women's side, because every school in the conference has track, so we had to build a team that could cover all the bases. And so we had to build, we had to have distance runners. I had to go get me a distance runner, and I got one. I got the best one from Kenya. So we had to control and score in distance events, the jumps, the sprints, the hurdles, the throws. The conference is very competitive in the distance, the throws, and in the field events. And if you got some good sprinters, you could just fill it. You could fill in the blanks. But you got to have a whole team on the women's side. And you got to realize now, this same conference continuously now, the last couple of years, has an abundance of people make it to the postseason, make it to the first and second round, or whatever they still call it, the regional meet. An abundance of it. I think we like the CAA is like one of the few mid-major conferences that had a lot of people qualify. And then every year, somebody from the CAA making it all the way to nationals, whether it's in the field event, whether it's relay teams, or whether it's in a distance event. So this is no longer the old CAA. It's a highly competitive conference, and so we got and I know I'm smart enough to know that the CAA is not going to let me and A&T just win championships. So my friend will be at Northeastern. She's going to continue to load the bases. Mama's going to load the bases. Guy down at Elon, he going to figure it out with his distance runners. And so now you got to continue to stay, you can't miss out on recruiting. And so, because the CAA and it's going to get better. It's got better coaches in there. Like I said, the field events takes off. So it's just, I appreciate us being in there. Do I miss the MEAC? Oh yeah, every single day. Do I think we can still win in the MEAC? Absolutely. We're in the CAA now, so I got to recruit different. And you know what? Some HBCUs over the last 2 or 3 years have outshined us on a national stage in terms of like sprinting events, making it to nationals and the relays and the hurdles, things that we used to have historically done. So they're doing what I've always done, right? But I had to take a seat back and not just try to get that one, spend all the money on that one person to make it to the big show. I had to recruit a whole team to go ahead and win this conference first, and then put us in a position where we can consistently contend for a title. But at the same time, now we get back to nationals and things that we used to do in the past.
Okay. Yeah, and excuse me. I was granted opportunity at high school clinics to do presentations about collegiate recruiting.
Right.
And I hit it from all areas. I mean, all four, all four governing bodies, NCAA, NAIA, NCCAA, and USCAA, which we actually had, HBCUs win USCAA in recent years. But the thing that I always had to tell coaches, and I'm also I've also been an official. I actually need to get my credentials back. But
yeah, you gotta get that.
Yeah, I had to, after, when COVID hit, it kind of lapsed on me. Right. But yeah, I always told coaches, you need to talk to these college coaches if your kids are interested in a specific program, because you don't know what a coach has as far as resources, how much they can spend in order to get your athlete there. And don't think your athlete, because your athlete might be the top in Kentucky, don't think your athlete is going to get a full ride somewhere unless they sitting up there breaking state records. Don't think your athlete going to get a full ride.
Right.
You know, but there's a way that coaches what I always talk with collegiate coaches about is packaging. There's a way they can package you so that the athlete does not have to pay.
Yeah.
But then that means that athlete have to be getting in the classroom too.
Yeah, you know what? Historically, we've done a good job here at Hampton packaging. Hampton, everybody knows that Hampton is a quite expensive university. So, and I can't mortgage the farm by giving everybody a full scholarship, right? So we do a lot of packaging. Hampton does an excellent job of giving out merit-based scholarships. If they meet the academic criteria. Academic scholarships, room scholarships, character scholarships. Hampton has all kinds of scholarships that kids can qualify for to come to Hampton if they meet the academic criteria. And fortunately, we've been blessed over my tenure here to have outstanding students come to Hampton, and we package them in, and for the first couple of years, and then at some point we take them all off the academic money, put them all on track and field money. But you know, with a school that's up there in cost, that's how we got to do it, especially on the men's side. You know, you only got 12 scholarships, so we got to package stuff. And like I said, we've had, since I've been here, probably 40% of my teams have been packaged together. And like I said before, the university has done an outstanding job supporting me and helping me in those areas. Because they know I'm gonna bring some great, scholarly student athletes to the table, and so that's why we've been successful, because we can put together those packages. So you're right. Everybody think everybody want a full scholarship, right? And then they think if I can't get a full scholarship at a Power 5 school, I said, well, they think, well, this HBCU gonna give me a full scholarship. I said, I got to compete against them same schools, but we can make it work. If you're willing to make it work, so it has worked out.
Right. Yeah. And another thing I tell coaches and athletes, don't be afraid to take a chance if you feel comfortable at a smaller school, don't feel threatened or don't be afraid to take that chance, because and my analogy is always speed.
Right.
If you're fast, no matter where you're at, speed translates on every level.
Yeah.
If you're fast, somebody's gonna find you. And like you say, you've coached several elite athletes, so so let's say, and I use Carmelita Jeter, and I will do that because the year she was a clinician at maximum velocity. She actually told the story,
right,
that she didn't get the D1 offers, or she couldn't take the D1 offers, so she had to go D2,
right,
and so you go from D2 to becoming a world champion. If
you can run, you can run.
Right, yeah. And all these people that Coach Williams used to coach at St. Aug.
Yeah.
How many elites had come out of that program?
Yeah.
And that was even before they even had football. Well, yeah, before they had a football field. he was AD, made it work.
Yeah. Hey, Coach Williams made it work for a long time.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you got some programs, D2 programs. You got some outstanding Division III programs. We got one right here in my backyard. Shout out to Christopher Newport University. They were a Division III powerhouse when I was coming in high school, like the 80s and early 90s. So all you need is a track and a great coach that can mold you and not mess you up. You can take off and run. And if you look at this past year, a lot of HBCUs qualified for the NCAA championships. We have consistently done that. I think we get the right kid with the right coaching, outstanding coaching at all HBCUs. Just got to convince the kid to give us a shot.
Right.
Yeah. And so we've had more kids give us a shot than some other institutions. But now we just got to figure out how to keep it going.
Right.
Yeah.
And then some of you, I guarantee you, a lot of these kids do not know the pedigree of coaching, and a lot of HBCU. You mentioned Coach Johnson over there at A&T, and then he has Terrence Trammell on his staff. Another clinician, and Terrence was a frequent clinician at Maximum Velocity, so I got to know him very well.
Yeah.
But and like I said, Sharifa, she took the reins at Kentucky State for 1 year. She was an assistant before that.
Right.
And so like I said, there are a lot of top level coaches around, and then the pinnacle, who I consider probably the greatest coach of all time, and people might want to dispute me, is who we were talking about a second ago, Coach Williams. How many people have won as many national championships as he has in cross country and track and field?
Oh, he's won more than anybody.
Oh yeah.
But of course, listen, that will never happen again. In this modern day in track and field, at whatever level it is, that will never happen again. They might as well go ahead and give that man his flowers now, because he has the most championships. And I know they said John McDonald at Arkansas has a lot of championships, but Coach Williams has just as many, and I think more.
Right.
And national championships are national championships. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's in the conversation as one of the probably one or two, three top HBCU coaches of all time. He has to be number one because of all his accolades,
right,
in all the championships. So that's like a no-brainer conversation. And we have people before him and after him that's doing marvelous things, but to win that many championships, you got to put him as the GOAT.
Right. And plus, he was an Olympic coach. I think the year that I met him was after he was the Olympic coach.
Yeah. Probably like 2004.
Yeah.
He was the head coach, I think, in 2004. In Athens. Yeah.
And I know, like you said too, when we talk about GOATs, he's right there. And because he introduced me to Coach Kittley.
Oh, okay. Wes Kittley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has a slew of championships. He doesn't have as many as Coach Williams.
Yeah. He was the man after Christian.
Right.
I always won championships. Norfolk and Hampton back then, they came close, like top three a couple times. Hampton women was runner up one time. Came real close, but those two guys in the school out of California, they just won all the D2 national championships.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and they just didn't have D2 athletes. They had like big time top athletes in college.
Right.
So that was the difference. They just didn't have no watered down teams.
Right.
They had great, like, world class teams that probably could have finished in the top three at the NCAA Division I championships. And Coach Williams had a couple of teams that probably could have won the whole thing. Yeah.
And that's one thing I tell people too. Abilene Christian, when it was D2, and St. Aug, and like I said, a few others, D1 programs used to hate seeing them come to
they wouldn't let them in certain track meets. Oh, I know. I lived through all of that. Abilene Christian had all the African athletes. St. Aug had all the Caribbean athletes.
And what I'm saying, unfortunately, high school coaches are not familiar with a lot of these programs.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because, there might have been some student athletes who either bombed out at certain collegiate programs, or who stopped running altogether, who could have been successful if they had contacted a small program like HBCUs and mid-majors, D2s, NAIA. But
I don't think they want to.
Huh?
The problem is, like you said, these high school coaches don't know
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that they know what they want to know.
Okay, gotcha.
And this is not to like throw no shade on them or anything like that, because I need high school coaches to recruit.
Right.
But we live in a world where social media and public knowledge of anything is at a push of a button.
Right.
Right. So whatever you want to find out, historically or current, you can find out something that's going to happen tomorrow before it happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They know, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just now they got to figure out a way to say, you know what, this might be the best option for certain kids, or this is the avenue that I want to start sending people. The hype train is over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody got to stop getting caught up in the hype train. There's enough HBCUs out there at all levels that your kids can compete in, and they, like I said, they know the history. This young generation of coaches and everybody else, they're fact finders, and
Right.
social media tells it all. So I don't believe that they don't know. They might not know enough, but it's enough
Mm-hmm.
information out there. If they really want to know, they
Right.
can figure it out. But the problem is they just, for whatever reason, they just think that the kid has to go to a certain level or a certain place to be
Mm-hmm.
successful,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes the coach look good. It's like,
Right.
it's like a chest of honor,
Mm-hmm.
at these kids at these schools. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of like in between.
Right.
It's kind of disappointing, because I've even stopped communicating with certain coaches or certain areas, because of that one reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to have to like continue to recruit people, but I got to oversell my program or the institution, period, to a coach. That's another, that is smart enough to have done his research.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? But then also I got a handful of great ones that still want to send kids to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Regardless. And I don't care where a kid goes to school. I just want kids to go to the right school.
Right.
And I want kids to go to schools where it don't cost their family a fortune, for them to have to pay a certain amount of it for them to go there, because they're only getting 20% scholarship from quote unquote this power school,
Mm-hmm.
but they got the world thinking that the kid got a full scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go into financial debt for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're not telling the truth. It look good at signing day, but being on the inside, I know the numbers game, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like disappointing, um, that a kid and a family would put themselves in a financial situation like that just to say they go to certain places where they can find a home at HBCUs.
Right. Right. And I said I ended up learning packaging at the program where I was. Actually, I had started learning before then because I was always close with a lot of coaches at Kentucky State.
Hmm.
And so I remember one year I was officiating a meet at, like I said, this is a major program. I was officiating a meet, and one of the other officials asked the head coach about his scholarship availability. You
Hmm.
know, because I guess he knew some kids that he could refer to that program.
Right.
And coach told him, was like, "Well, I only got 3 scholarships."
Hmm.
And so the guy came, told me that, and we were scratching our heads, and it was like, well, they got they have a lot of athletes, but the thing was, you got 3 scholarships,
Yeah.
and you need probably about 10 athletes. So, you got to divide that up. And so when I got with the program, I said I was involved with the recruiting part.
Yeah.
I didn't recruit, of course I couldn't,
Yeah.
but keeping up with some of the records, the contacts, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and that's why I learned. Coach was like, well, he would tell the admin in the program, call such and such and see if they have this scholarship. And like I said, they were all academic scholarships.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to come into that program being a 2.0, a 2.2, or 2.3 high school athlete.
Right.
you know, you gonna have to be in the threes so that you don't go.
Hey man, like the young people say now, that math ain't mathing. That math ain't mathing right now. So you're right. It's a financial thing. It's a numbers game. That's all it is.
Right.
A numbers game. You know what? And I go around campus and try to get money from like every department. Mm-hmm. Everybody on this campus know me. You know, if you got some money, I'm gonna try to get it from everybody.
Right.
I'm gonna stick up the whole campus.
and you know, another thing you mentioned was the research.
Right.
When I remember being at a meet, I introduced the cup. It was a elite meet. University of Kentucky has an elite high school meet that it does every year.
Right.
And so Tori Edwards was the head coach at Kentucky State at the time. Mm-hmm. And I introduced her to a couple of alumni who had elite athletes running at that meet. But then it was like a lot of kids were just running up to her. Yeah, I want to run for you at Kentucky State. I want to run for you at Kentucky State. Yeah. And I had never seen that.
Right.
They knew who she was.
Yep.
And so
they gotta do their research. They know what they know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they know exactly what they know.
Mm-hmm.
So all it takes is the right person at the right place at the right time to take it to another level.
Right. And talk, since we've been talking about student athletes, who's some of your top student athletes this year?
Oh wow. Our top one is the young lady from Kenya, Penina Mutisha. She's one of the best 5K and 10,000 meter runners last year. Unfortunately, she got injured, but she's gonna make a full recovery. Probably our throwers. We got two young ladies in the throws from Jamaica, Rochelle Solomon and Damali Williams. Matter of fact, they're getting ready to compete this month for Jamaica. They made the Jamaican Pan Am team. So those two young ladies, along with Penina, we got a sprinter, Brianna Charles. Brianna was good last year, but she kind of had like a nagging hamstring issue all outdoor season. So we get Penina back full range, and I have no doubt that the throws, because my throws coach Eric Smalls does an excellent job. The throws, those two young ladies will, and they made regionals for the last 2 years. So one of them gonna crack next year, make it all the way to nationals. And so what we did was, and Coach Joseph, my distance guy, we recruited around Penina, and like I said, unfortunately she got injured, but we recruited some outstanding high school kids to go around her. And I brought in more sprinters this year than we've had in the past. So we got probably like a good group of like 8 to 10, maybe 12 women sprinters. Got a good jumper out of New Jersey, who's the best triple jumper in New Jersey. And the women's team, on top of those 4 people that I mentioned as returners, we have probably 75% of newcomers coming in that were better than the previous classes that we brought in. So we looking forward to that. I got a transfer young lady coming in. She's Nigerian, but she went to the University of Minnesota. So we got a transfer sprinter from West Virginia State, another HBCU. All right, she's gonna be good too. So the women, the foundation is there. We graduated some top people, but we backed it up with more depth in those same event areas. On the men's side, we kind of like just did a whole shuffle. The problem on the men's side was the last 2 years, every time we get a big time athlete, somebody else wanted them. So we had a top hurdler 2 years ago who was number 3 in the country, and LSU came knocking on the door. So he jumped in the door. So last 2 years, all of all Americans have transferred. One with LSU, one with the Purdue, one with the Iowa State. And I'm cool with that. That's just the way of the world right now. I just need to know ahead of time that you're gonna leave. Right. So, but on the men's side, we just completely we had like 4 outstanding freshmen on our team last year. But on the men's side, now we got like probably 80% of my team is brand new. We recruited jumpers, we recruited hurdlers, we recruited more sprinters. We got a transfer thrower coming in. And so I think on the men's side, our freshmen were our top returners because everybody else coming will be new. You know, so look for the men's team to be a top 2 team in the conference next year. So everybody kept saying, well, why is there an imbalance in terms of championships? Women won a lot, men haven't won a lot. Well, men don't have the same amount of numbers as women. That's the first thing. Right. Second thing is we had the people, but everybody else wanted them. So my job now is not, my hardest job is not to recruit kids to come to Hampton. My hardest job now is to convince kids to stay 4 years because they're going to get good. And everybody wants a Hampton athlete because they know what we do. And they want the kids that have historically left here and somewhere else immediately shine. So we say, you know what, in case that happens again, because that's the way of the world, we'll still have enough depth. Still enough young people that we can keep the team intact. But I'm excited about it. And like I said, we get a lot of kids from all over. Our bread and butter is, of course, Virginia and the two neighboring states, North Carolina and especially Maryland, D.C. area. Right. We get an abundance of kids coming out of New Jersey all the time. New Jersey's always been a pipeline for us. And we didn't have to, quote unquote, do the Caribbean thing so much this year. But I think going forward, we're going to continue to have to do the international thing in terms of like distance runners. Right. And right now we got a great situation for them to come in here. And so we're going to tap into that and keep that going. But I'm always recruiting kids. You know, we got kids this year coming. We got a lot of kids. We got like 5 kids from the Atlanta area. I got a girl coming out of the Houston area. I got some Midwest kids. I got a young lady coming in from California that I met last week when I was in LA. She won top hurdlers in California, and she just wanted to come to HBCU. And Hampton gave her a lot of merit-based money, and she just fell on my lap. So that's what happens. Also, we get a lot of people that just fall on our lap because they want to come to Hampton, but at some time they get kind of timid about reaching out to us. They don't think they can run for our program. Right. But this young lady can run. She's gonna be a diamond in the rough that people in California know about her, but everybody else don't know about her. So now I got to kind of like hold her back. But we cover all the bases. You know, it's not a state that I don't go recruit from if I can. Right. You know what I mean? Hampton's one of those schools that you can attract kids from all over, all 50 states and international. It's just about getting the right people at the right time. Right. Yeah. Right.
And that's one thing about Hampton that I've noticed about its alumni. I don't think I've seen a more prideful group of people than Hampton alums. Yeah. And it's amazing because, you know, for the most part, all HBCU alumni who I know, you know, they love their institution. Yeah. But there's a different air that Hampton alums carry. Yeah. And they let you know, yeah, I graduated from Hampton. Deal with
it. You're exactly right. You know, and you gotta come correct with that conversation. Because historically, you know, Hampton alums, they give back. Hampton alums give back to the institution. They've always supported the former president. They support the current president, President Williams. Hampton alums do an extremely great job, and they see where their money's going. And I tell everybody, the difference between Hampton and a few other HBCUs is that Hampton has an international brand. And Hampton goes above and beyond and whatever is necessary financially to protect this brand. And it's going to make sure that the Hampton brand is known or seen around the world or in major cities. See, Hampton does some strategic stuff that's kind of pretty smart. Hampton targets like major cities, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, LA. And we were just there. We went on a coach's caravan to those cities. Wow. And they got huge alumni in those major cities. They got people in those smaller pockets, but Hampton go out to the big markets. And that's why their brand is so big, because they're in big markets, big media markets. So, the strategic plan has always worked in terms of how you go get the resources and how you continue to attract the alums. So me being, I ain't the smartest guy, but wherever they go, that's where I go. So they go to major cities, I go to those same cities. Right. You're right. And everybody just like they love Hampton, and you can't debate them. Hampton could be struggling in a particular sport that year, but you still can't talk them off the cliff. They still all in with Hampton. Right. They could say, well, we're having a bad year, but we're still the greatest institution ever. So, right. Right. I know that for a fact. I got about 9 or 10 family members that graduated from Hampton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got one daughter who just graduated from Hampton and another daughter who's coming to Hampton. Wow. Right. And so I know the history of this place. When it was Hampton Institute, I seen this place when it was a Division II school from CIAA. And you're right, Hampton, you can't have that conversation with Hampton alums, because they're all over the world. Right. Yeah. Wow. So wow. I got to, I learned how to brag too. So.
Right. Okay. I definitely understand that. So as we prepare to start winding down, I do ask this question of all coaches.
Right.
And it's because this is a phenomenon that I've seen happen probably over the last 10 or so years. And that's the mental health aspect of athletics, because we've had this trend where a lot of students have attempted suicides.
Right.
And most of the ones I've seen that actually completed that have been student athletes.
Yes.
And I guess I understand some of the pressure they're going through.
Yeah.
Because you got to be a student and you have to be an athlete. So that means you got to do some extra things.
Right.
But you also had to do that in high school. What the part that I don't understand is I think it was my pastor who made the comment, I don't believe that you should you should make a permanent decision for a temporary situation.
Right.
But how do you deal with mental health there at Hampton, especially in your program?
Well, Hampton did something that was extremely smart. I think like 2 years ago, they hired a young lady who's the mental health specialist just for athletics. So the student athlete no longer has to just go to counseling services with the regular university students or support services. We have an in-house person whose main job is the mental health specialist for athletics. And she has the necessary resources. She travels with the teams. She's out there practices, meeting with the team, just mingling around. She has meetings with the team. So I think that was probably I don't want to use the word smart, but I think that was one of a part of the strategic plan to bring in this young lady. And I'm sure that her department will grow and she'll get an assistant and more assistants. So it's mainly in-house, because mental health is a big thing. For me, what I try to do, I try to stay out of it as much as I can, but I know I got to get involved with it. And so now having this person in place, I can just refer our student athlete to the young lady. and then I'm not completely like out of it, but it's how counseling is. It's a private situation, and I think I got a open door policy where a student can come talk to me about whatever they got going on, and then if I can't help them, I just refer them to our mental health person. And I know it's a lot of pressure on them, and for whatever reason, kids now have more pressure on them than in the past, and I don't understand it, and I'm trying not to try to continue to try to figure out how to understand this, because more kids are going to college now, more kids are getting opportunities. The doors are open versus when you and I were in school. So you would think it would be more kids with pressure on them then, because you had like financial difficulties or just all kind of difficulties with just going to college anyway. But the door's open now, but you still have more kids that come in with a whole lot of issues, and you're looking at them like, why do you have all these issues? But not for me. Usually the coach could figure it out. The coach was the backbone. The coach was the counselor, the guidance, the mentor, the pastor. The coach was everything. Pastor Pierce. The coach could just clean up and fix everything. But now the coach can't fix anything. And then you can't touch those certain areas. But I also understand when we got kids on our team that's just not like there mentally. You can tell by their body language or them not being sociable with the team. It's some triggers that you can see. And track is very demanding. And it's extremely hard to run track here. It's extremely hard to run track for me. So it's a lot of pressure that's just historical. We're trying to come and run in Hampton and live up to the standard. So that's like pressure that's already on you coming in the door. And so I think freshmen and seniors are the ones that have these pressure points. And like I said, Hampton did an excellent job of hiring somebody, putting somebody in place to kind of like bridge the gap and help out, because nobody wants to have these horror stories that's going on. And so we want to be in front. And I think we've been in front for so long that, if I see the young lady who's our mental health person, if she come to the track, I know that she's just not coming to the track just to watch track practice. She's coming there to pay attention to somebody. And whoever that person is, I don't need to know because those are some of the gray areas, but I kind of know, because I know the person had a sidebar or the first initial conversation with me. And if the person need to take time off, or they need to go to that, and Hampton has these mental health pods that Taraji P. Henson came to Hampton last year and donated. It's like a safe space for students. They can just go there, and it's a safe space for them to just concentrate on what they need to concentrate on. So it's always kind of like, it's always these little safe spaces on campus, right? And like I said, I know if somebody has a issue going on, but there's so many resources now at institutions, and because I'm here at Hampton, I know about all the resources that are available. And like I said, the young lady, and we got the biggest team. We got the biggest women's team. So the more people we bring in from different places and the more success we have, then I mean the bar of mental toughness or mental strain shows up. So I like to think over the next year or two, she's gonna have to get some more staffing, because she's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to just pull her away and say, look, you just need to travel with track. So, and I think I do a good job of getting involved with the whole family or the whole kid itself when I recruit a kid. So I can kind of like know the background and know what's really going on. Because I know I ask those questions and I try to get involved with the parents or the person that makes the decisions for the kid.
Right.
So I'm always in the loop, but I'm not all in, but I'm in the know of what's going on.
Right. Well, and let's say we're about to wind down, but a bit about Hampton. Hampton is one of the top academic institutions in the United States, not just HBCU, not just Virginia, but in the United States. And so, but what are the top the academic programs there?
Wow. People don't realize it, or they forgot about this, but Hampton is really known. Hampton is a medical school. Even though our business school is top notch, business school is top notch. We got a 5-year MBA program. We got an online MBA program. That program has went to a whole nother level. So everybody just coming here for that, and they coming for the Scripps Howard mass communication program. So that program, along with the School of Business, is really, really, really big. But the foundation and the history of this institution is medical, with the nursing field, PhD in pharmacy, PhD in nursing. So I just think that they'll never get away from who they are, which is a medical school. But with the changing of times and the investment in the School of Business has taken off. So those three, along with some other programs that are good, the engineering program is good. The architect program is small, but it's powerful. I think it's one of the first architect programs that was founded on the HBCU campus. But we get kids who want to come because of the medical field and that MBA, that School of Business.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I said it, and like you said, you pay for it, but you're paying for top notch education. You're not paying for just any run of the mill degree.
Yeah. Well, you're paying for the brand. I recruit kids. I say you can take Hampton brand all over the world, and you can open up doors for your whole life. So really, you're paying to be in an environment that once you leave, you're protected and wrapped around a certain brand that's going to continue to open up doors and avenues and whatever field you go into. It's the Hampton brand, so you're paying for a brand. And it's tough to manipulate. It's tough to get that degree because Hampton is very, very demanding and selective. But once you get it, you carrying that brand around you forever.
Okay. And you mentioned your background earlier. Who are your top mentors when it comes to coaching?
Oh wow. I always refer to the people that I coached under first. And so it would be Coach Laverne Sweat, who was a legendary coach at Norfolk State, and she was here at Hampton too. And Steve Riddick, because he allowed me to do both collegiately and professional. But within that conversation is Coach George Williams. Coach George Williams at St. Aug, Coach Curtis Fry when he was at the University of South Carolina. And probably a guy that a lot of people forgot about was a guy named Steve Lewis, who was the head coach at the University of Pittsburgh for a long, long, long time. And I knew about Coach Lewis because he went to Norfolk State, but he coached at Newport News for a long time. Legendary guy. And in his last couple of years of coaching, he came over here and coached the men's track team. So those guys, my mentors, I'm kind of different. My mentors are not people that I don't know. People have mentors and that they maybe had one or two conversations with, or I call it just idolizing. You just idolize that coach, but you don't really know that coach. So my mentors are people that I either work with or genuinely had a relationship with. Some of them are my peers also, like my man Neville Hodge at Morgan State. I can call Coach Hodge and we can just talk about anything. And Coach Hodge been in the game for a long time, so I respect him. I respect Richard Bean down at Alabama State. Because like I said, we're friends and we're in the same arenas. Like I said, my mentors aren't people that I've never worked with or glorified. They're people that I have genuinely had a relationship with and worked with. And they've always taken care of me and given me good advice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is the final question that it's not even a question. What we always do at the end of the broadcast is that we give our coaches a chance to give shout outs.
Right.
So this is your time to shout out anyone who you want to shout out.
Shout out. Oh, wow. I got to give a shout out probably two people that coaches. Well, of course, I'm gonna always give a shout out to my coaching staff, but I think I got the greatest coaching staff ever. Coach Smalls, Coach Saunders, and Coach Joseph. They do a good job of putting up with me, right? But I got to give a big shout out to my man down at Alabama State, Coach Richard Bean. What he's done down there is phenomenal. And, to know him is just, and me and him got to know each other real good over the last couple of years. It's kind of like always standoffish because he's in Alabama, I'm way up here. But over the last couple of years, we've kind of like became real good. And so he's done a fantastic job down there. I respect him. But the biggest shout out I got to give is to my alma mater over at Norfolk State University, my man, Coach Kenny Giles. Kenny and I started coaching together. And what Kenny has done over there on the men's side, they just keep winning the MEAC, winning the MEAC, and winning the MEAC. So I got to continue to give a shout out to my alma mater, one, but Kenny Giles, for what he's accomplished there. And it gives me pride knowing that the Spartans are still relevant, even though I'm on the other side of the water. But because we're in two different conferences and I'm an alumnus of the school, I have a right to root for them. Right? So, it's like a birthright. So, So that's my shout out. My staff, Richard Bean at Alabama State and Kenny Giles at Norfolk State.
Okay. All right. And ironically, both of those guys have been guests here.
Oh, great. Okay.
And Coach Giles, we laugh about it whenever we talk, but he's been here pretty much every year. So
okay. Kenny like me, he just been at the same place a long time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what? I can't forget Hampton. I gotta give a shout out to everybody here at Hampton that supported me. The former president, the current president, President Darrell K. Williams, retired Darrell K. Williams. I call him the General. And our athletic director, Anthony Henderson, who's doing a good job. And looking forward to continue working with him and the institution and see how we can take it to higher levels.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, we definitely want to thank you for stopping by and chatting with us today. We really enjoyed it, and this was very enlightening. Yeah. And so, just to know what you've done there at Hampton, and to know also that you coach at the other level as well. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. But I also want to thank you, our audience, who took the time to stop by to watch us. We definitely cannot do this without you, and we appreciate each and every one of you who tuned in. Yeah. And we ask that you like, share, and follow us on our various social media platforms so that you can be aware whenever or be notified whenever we have a new guest to come in, because these are the best in coaching on the HBCU level, which means they're the best in coaching on the national level as well.
Right.
So we want to thank everyone, and we do hope that you tune in for our next episode of Chat with HBCU Champions.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Y'all keep following us. I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna follow you now. I didn't know what this. I didn't know all this was going on, but I'm gonna follow you now. But you got me.
Okay.
Reach out to me anytime you need me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We definitely will.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about young shakes. Chicago to represent. Jesse James. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, I ain't never been a jumpin'. If he thinking I'm a jump, watch him get his head lumped. For my city, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, I ain't never been a jumpin'. If he thinking I'm a jump, watch him get his head lumped. For my city, cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much for supplying her touch. I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her name in like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting. frontin', ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.